this session is going to be useful to everyone who's thinking about the biomedical data science careers. I would like you to pose any questions as simple as, well, what courses should I take if I want to become a bioinformatics guru? Or as a complex situation, well, I'm really confused and there's no job in academia. Should I leave the field or not? So anything that you think that you were confused, and feel free to either send it to me and I'll resend it by hiding who sent it, or just if you feel comfortable, you can just share it with everyone as we go through the panelists. Okay. So I think here's what we're gonna do. I want the panelists to start each person spending 5 minutes talking about this 3 questions, maybe doing self-introduction. Who are you? What is your current role? What do you do in your current job? And then where you come from. So exactly, were you a bioinformatics major, computational biology major at the undergraduate level? What was your background? And just tell us a little bit of the career paths or transitions. And then the third part is how and why did you choose the career path? Were you just drifting, or were you so determined that this is something you were interested in doing from the very beginning? And so we can start with Ike, since you're here already.
Okay, hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Jake, for inviting me to this career development panel. My name is Chen. I'm currently Vice Chair and Senior Members at the Department of Biostatistics and Bioinformatics in Moffitt Cancer Center. So this is a standalone Cancer Center Institute. We have a very close collaboration with the University of South Florida. So I'm also a professor over there. So my background is basically biomedical engineering, and then I got a PhD in computer science, majoring in machine learning and bioinformatics. I obtained my PhD in 2004 from the University of Glasgow, and right after that I came to US to do my postdoc. My first stop is basically at the Johns Hopkins University Biomedical Engineering Department, working as more like a computational postdoc, where I develop programs, machine learning programs for identifying gene expressions changes. Initially started with cancer data sets, because back then in 2004, cancer is probably the disease with a lot of microarray gene expression data. So I developed a method, is known as a K-top scoring pair, or KTSP, published it in Bioinformatics journal in 2005. And as we all know, that machine learnings require a lot of big training data to kind of like make a more accurate predictions for the model. However, if you think about all these individual data point is actually cancer patients. So, and my method kind of like work well in small sample size, because it's a data driven without a lot of parameters. So that kind of like led me to think about maybe I should try to apply my algorithm to some sort of like a real patient data sets. So I took up a second postdoc in the Hopkins Cancer Center. It's in the medical school. So I began my kind of like translational research, where I work in a lab surrounded by clinicians and translational researchers. So I kind of like collaborate with my colleagues working on a lot of these drug developments using preclinical models. And that led to my first faculty position back in 2009 at the University of Colorado. I started as an assistant professor, working in the same kind of like settings, but with more different researchers. And later on, I was promoted to an associate professor as well as in charging of the bioinformatics core at the University of Colorado Cancer Center. And later on, I joined Moffitt in 2019 to take up this leadership role. So I kind of like know what I want to do very early on, that I want to contribute to cancer research using computational methods or data science. And I'm enjoying working with different backgrounds, researchers, and try to see my work translate into clinical trials. So that is my background. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Well, next is our guest from Eli Lilly, Dr. Chen Su. If you're ready, you can turn on your video. Okay.
Okay. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I was running a little late because I thought this meeting started noon Eastern time, but apologize for that. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Chen Su, and I have been with Eli Lilly for 21 years. And I actually prepared a few slides, but since I'm running late, I'm gonna just
No,
go
it's
ahead.
okay. It's okay. I can just let you share your slides if you want to.
No, that's okay. It's
Okay.
it's fine. We can just talk about the points. I think one of the things I want to share in this, Jakey told me this is for early career trainees and early faculties, right? I think one of the things I wanted to share is that the journey that I've been, in this journey at the Eli Lilly for 21 years. My background is that I got my Bachelor of Science degree at Beijing University. And then I came to US to got my Ph.D. in computational biology from Penn State. And it was a very interesting journey when I joined Eli Lilly because the industry has a reputation of not being able to do good research. And so all the fantastic brilliant minds go to academia. So my supervisor was quite concerned I was joining industry and in the pharmaceutical company setting. Now, I did not start with my journey with a straight line in mind. I did not know what I want to do when I first joined Lilly, but it was a really interesting combination of different things I have done at Lilly. So I think in terms of background, I am the senior director for the enterprise high performance computing at Eli Lilly. And before that, I was a senior research advisor for portfolio strategy and decision sciences, covering the entire Lilly research portfolio, ranging from oncology, diabetes, neuroscience, and autoimmune. So yeah, I think that's about it. I want to say about myself for now, and happy to contribute to the panel discussion.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm sure that the audience have lots of questions, and how did you end up in a position like this? And you have really a very impressive academic background, and you're the only industry representative here. But we can come back to it in another round. So Dr. Anne-Laureen, you have a few slides, and I can stop sharing for you to share your desktop.
All right, I think you should see my PowerPoint.
Yes.
Do you see the, do you see this? Is it showing you in presentation mode?
No, it's the only slides without notes.
So do you see introduction, biovis.org, a
Yes.
picture? Okay, thank you. All right, well, I guess I'll get started then. So thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. So I am a professor of bioinformatics, an academic at UNC Charlotte, and I research visualization methods for genomics. And I'm very interested in the question of how can we create software tools to help researchers understand their data better. And specifically, I want to know what makes software good, effective, and fun to use. And so I have a lot of ideas about what the answers to these questions are, and I'm testing these ideas mainly by developing software and watching people use it and trying to get feedback from them. And some of the software tools that you can see that we've developed are all available at biovis.org. Sorry, I'm keeping my cat out of the way. So I've had a lot of education, formal education and informal. But I didn't start out in bioinformatics at all. All of my formal training was in biology. But I also learned, so as an undergraduate, I studied liberal arts, humanities, and I learned a lot of really critical writing and revision skills that have helped me in my later career. And after I finished my PhD in biology, I got really interested in DNA microarrays that one of the presenters mentioned. And I was so excited by this because I thought, so when I finished in the mid-90s, technology was still really new. And it wasn't super clear how it could be used. But I thought that if you could measure all the genes at once using a DNA microarray, and if you did enough experiments, you could learn how all the genes work together to form an organism. And for a biologist, this was the most exciting thing ever. I mean, I was very, very excited. But I realized I didn't have the skills or the knowledge to do anything with these data. So instead of doing a traditional postdoc, I started taking classes in computer science and statistics. And I started at the very beginning. So the first computer science class I took was called CS3, and it was like a preparatory class for the very first undergraduate programming class they teach at UC Berkeley. So I had a long way to go, but I didn't care. I was very excited. I wanted to do this. So after about a year, I finally had enough skill that I could do some useful work. So I got a postdoctoral trainee position at UC Berkeley and started writing software for the project website. And I just fell in love with it. It was so much fun to be able to build things that people could use. And it was also really fast. I mean, compared to biology research, it was just a constant reward all the time. So after a bit, I joined a software company that was started by my colleagues at UC Berkeley. And then not long after that, Affymetrix, which made DNA microarrays, bought this company. So I came full circle. I got to do work professionally for money on the very same technology that had started me on this journey in the first place. So I got really, really, really lucky. So anyway, that's how I met Jake, actually, because we both worked there. And also I was part of a group that was doing a lot of course, research for the company, collaboratively and working with a lot of different really interesting scientists at the company. But at the same time, our supervisors encouraged us to publish. So I was able to publish a lot of papers with my colleagues, and it was fantastic. And after, I guess, a few years of this, I started to get a little bored because what kept happening for me, this was my experience, is I would come up with what I thought were really great ideas for things to do, for software to develop and experiments to do. And nobody was really interested in doing them at the company because they had no obvious business reason. I mean, I don't blame them at all. And so I thought, wow, it sure would be great to have this sort of job where you come up with really cool ideas, describe them in detail, and then people give you money to do those ideas. And so that's what made me want to become a professor. I mean, I know this is like really naive sounding, but that was my thinking. So I took some time and I did an academic job search, which was quite difficult and challenging, but I got a job here at UAB as an assistant professor in the section on statistical genetics. And through that job, I learned how to write grant applications. So UAB at that time, and hopefully still does, had a lot of support for new professors to help them develop grant proposals. And it was an incredibly valuable experience. And I honestly did not realize how unique it was at the time. I also learned how to do collaborative work in an academic setting, and kind of continued in this trajectory, and then moved on to my current job as a professor at a bioinformatics department. And I was super excited to join this department because it was focused 100% on bioinformatics. So that's kind of what drew me to UNC Charlotte. And so there I teach programming, I have funding from NIH and NSF, and I also continue to do collaborative projects with a lot of different people. And so that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure that the people would ask a lot of questions. What is it like going from Berkeley to industry and then to university in the South? But we'll save those questions in the future round. Next, we have Dr. Chingdo Hicks. Dr. Hicks.
Yeah, hi, Jack. Yeah, I'm here. Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so hi, everybody. Nice to meet you again after all these COVID issues that have kept us apart for quite some time. Yeah, so I don't have the slides to present, but I'll just try to make a brief explanation of who I am, what I do, and things like that, as guided by Jake. So my name is Chingdo Hicks. I'm a professor here at LSU Medical Center in the Department of Genetics. I also direct the Bioinformatics and Genomics program here. In terms of the history about myself and background, like almost everyone on the panel, first of all, I'm originally from Africa, as you probably have seen. If you do genetics, you probably see that I'm of African ancestry. So left Africa a long time ago. I did my undergraduate partly at Edinburgh University in Scotland, and also in the now called Czech Republic at the Mendel University of Agriculture. So that means that my first training actually was very much in agricultural genetics. Then after that, I moved to the University of Copenhagen, where I did my Ph.D. In quantitative genetics. There was no bioinformatics at that point. So you either did, when I was in Edinburgh, it was called mathematical genetics, and I moved to Copenhagen, it was called quantitative genetics. So then after that, I finished my PhD from the University of Copenhagen. I moved to here, United States. I did the PhD, I did the postdoc training at Purdue University in Indiana, again in statistical genetics. And then after that, I left for some time. I went to Japan and worked on the Japanese Animal Genome Project in Tokyo for 3 years. And then I came back to United States. When I came back to United States, actually, that's when I entered the modern day bioinformatics program. Actually, I entered that at the Washington University School of Medicine as an instructor in bioinformatics and the computational genomics, working mostly with the Human Genome Center, basically the Human Genome Sequencing Center. And then since that time, I've been moving around, working in various capacities. I worked in California for quite some time for the Mind Institute. And then I came back here, worked for the University of Georgia, the Georgia Cancer Coalition for the Institute of Bioinformatics. So there where we established the Institute of Bioinformatics. And I moved to Chicago, and now I'm in Louisiana, where, as I said, I'm directing the bioinformatics program here. And I do a lot of research in bioinformatics and the computational genomics. So what used to be what used to be quantitative genetics before, because before there were no genomes, now it's computational genomics. So you can see the change there. So maybe as we discuss on the panel, we'll see that one of the things you have to have in life, if you are going to be in this business, is to have some flexibility and evolve with the field as the technology evolves. So I think I'll stop there for now.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I think by now that the audience probably figure out that you can start from almost any background, but the biology component, some kind of a genetics, molecular biology, is very essential if you want to be in this field. I also want to balance that I'm one of the anomaly. I got the computer science PhD, and perhaps I balance out by saying that the computer science training is also important for a different flavor of bioinformatics. I think in my slides, and I have some questions, and I'm not sure if all of you have fully explored this, why did you choose the career path you're in question, then I want to give everyone a chance to explain it. The reason that I'm asking this question is, for example, at the time when I got a computer science degree, my only purpose was not very glorious. My only purpose was to go to the Silicon Valley and make a bunch of money, like Dr. Anne Lorraine got a windfall of money from startup being bought by a large company. At one point, my stock prices on paper went out to be 1 million, but then quickly dwindled to 0. So my hope was dashed by the reality, and I didn't fully use my computer science degree to work in the Silicon Valley. And in some strange reason, I came back to academia and started to like it. I wonder if each of the panelists chose your career from the very beginning because you like bioinformatics so well, or you felt that you also debated and that this is just by chance and not necessarily your destiny. This will probably help our trainees understanding whether they can determine doing something and fulfill it, or they have to actually have all the right elements. So we'll start with Dr. Tan.
Well, it's a good questions and a discussion point. For me, I know that I'm from Malaysia, so it's a very small country in Southeast Asia. I know that I want to leave my country to see the world, to get exposure. So I'm determined to find a graduate student position outside of Malaysia. And at that time, because Malaysia used to be a British colony a few hundred years ago, so UK is one of the choices, and that's why I went to UK for my study. And I think the point is, as long as you know what you want to do in your life, it's a very philosophical questions, but I think if you know what you want in your life and how do you want to live a kind of like a fulfilled life, I think any backgrounds in bioinformatics is very multidisciplinary, right? I mean, we have panels from biological backgrounds, from statistical genetics, computer science, right? If you have the determination to learn, I think you can basically be successful in this field.
Thank you. Dr. Su, do you have some comments?
Yeah, this journey was, I think, a little bit luck for me. When I applied for PhD programs in US, right, there was a couple of universities I'm really interested in, and in particular, this Department of Computational Biology in Penn State, right? So that was very interesting in that I know that they study population genetics, for example, use a lot of mathematical modeling and to solve biological questions. And that was, I was really very fascinated about that. But then, after I graduated, wrote 4 first author papers and graduated. At the time, my PhD supervisor was a member of National Academy of Sciences. As a matter of fact, 2 of his previous graduate students were also members of National Academy of Sciences at the time I was graduating, right? So he really wanted me to stay in academia. And one of the things I think I chose was that I want to have something to be able to, have relatively tangible touch points to the portfolio that will impact the patients directly, right? So I chose the research function of a pharmaceutical company, I think, primarily for that reason. I think the secondary reason for me is just out of curiosity. I wanted to know what is like, because I, with the PhD and training and everything, spend whole my, entire life up to that point in academia, right? I want to know what industry was like. So 21 years later, what I can say is that definitely, when I look back on my career map, it was not a straight line for sure. Honestly, the first 5 years at Eli Lilly, I was still exploring different options. I did not know exactly what I wanted, like which group I want to end up with. So I ended up taking a Six Sigma training as a black belt for 2.5 years at Eli Lilly. And one of the advantage that gave me is that because this is such a global company, international company, I was exposed to different components, regulatory or the Asian operations, all the things that during that 2.5 years, and allow me to take the time to think what I wanted to do next. And that's when I landed my 9 years of career in the portfolio strategy and decision sciences group, covering competitive intelligence and other aspects of portfolio decisions for all of Lilly portfolios. So yeah, I would definitely say take the time and know yourself and know the environment and know the business demand, and then figure out that career path for you.
All right, that was insightful. It was determined, and it's a detour. The Dr. Lorraine commented it was nothing but luck, and induced some laugh in the audience. I wonder if you were joking or just thinking that, or this is a pure luck, or do you have something to add to your comment there?
Sure. You've probably heard the expression, I think this comes from Louis Pasteur, luck favors the prepared mind. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that quote. Part of luck is being able to recognize an opportunity when it presents itself. And in order to tell the difference between something that's a really good opportunity and something that's maybe not such a good opportunity, you have to have a lot of background knowledge and skills. So I have always been the sort of person where I like learning new things. I just like being in classes. I like being around other students. I like having an expert give me information. So I've always taken lots of classes and been kind of good at school. So that, I guess, is sort of lucky because it was just my natural way of being in the world. And so when opportunities presented themselves in the Bay Area in the middle of the 1990s during the internet, the rise of the World Wide Web, development of a lot of new technologies, the Human Genome Project was happening at that time. I could kind of look around this world and pick out the parts that I wanted to participate in because I knew a lot. So I would say if you're, all the reading that you can do, even if it's not even necessarily related to your job, is going to help you, because chance favors the prepared mind. So it wasn't only luck, but in terms of the startup getting bought by a bigger company, I had nothing to do with that. I mean, I was part of the company and trying to create value for the company, but the people that organized the sale didn't ask my help for that. They were doing it completely independently of everything I was doing. So that part was lucky. I think I just happened to be fortunate to join a startup company that had really good leadership, I guess. But I joined them because I thought they were good leaders. So maybe it's not completely luck there either. But as I said, chance favors the prepared mind.
Thank you. So Dr. Hicks, I know that you are a person I know who have made it very successfully to leadership academic positions, but who have gone through so many different career stops throughout the nation. And we sometimes at conferences, we laugh about it. Do you have any comments to share about your detours, or you actually meant to explore here and there to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so like I said, yeah, so basically I didn't have very much choice, like to choose from the very beginning that I want to be a bioinformatician, in part because there was no bioinformatics at that time. There was just the genetics and the biology. So like I said before, one of the things, because even as now we are talking about bioinformatics and computational genomics, but we do not know which technologies will be there in 15, 20 years from now. So my emphasis is to be flexible in life and to be prepared to take the opportunities. For example, as I said, I moved from Africa to England, just like Dr. Tan's story. Zambia used to be a British colony. So in fact, you would not enter university in Zambia because first you had to get a GCE, basically a general certificate of education, ordinary level. That doesn't qualify you to go to university. So I had to go to UK to take a general certificate of education, advanced level. And after that, that's how I entered Edinburgh University. So how did I find myself in genetics? So those who are genetics will probably remember that in the 80s, the Department of Genetics at the University of Edinburgh, led by Bill Hill, was probably one of the leading departments in the world. So I got very interested in that, and the whole department was very much centered on quantitative genetics or mathematical genetics. So that's how I entered through there. And then I was flexible enough to go to the University of Copenhagen there and do the PhD program. When I came here, I joined Purdue University as a postdoc. I got the opportunity to get a science and technology fellowship to go to Japan. So again, out of being flexible, I was able to go there. I could have just said, no, I don't want to go there. But I was flexible enough, even though I didn't know anything much about Japan. I didn't know anything about the Japanese Animal Genome Project, but I still went there. I learned there. Along the way, you also have to be prepared that when new technologies emerge, that you have to be able to learn. For example, when I was in Japan, as a science and technology fellow, I took 6 months still to go to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in Israel to learn more about bioinformatics at the Weizmann Bioinformatics Institute. So yeah, so basically flexibility is the key, and not only flexibility, but also to have the capacity to adapt, because as I said, the technologies that we have now may not be the technologies that we have 5 years from now. Like bioinformatics is a very new area compared to computational biology, or even compared to quantitative genetics. Bioinformatics only about maybe 20, 30 years old at this point. So that's the thing that we are. Modern computational genomics actually is the old version of quantitative genetics. It's just that now we are dealing with the genomes, but before we are not dealing with the genomes. So that's the main difference. So, and that is also going to frame your thinking, because now I wish, of course, that I had taken more computer science courses like Jake. But so my frame of mind right now still very much functions more as from genetics to bioinformatics when I'm formulating the problems. So I think I'll stop there.
Great. Well, I think there's a very diverse opinion, but I think as Dr. Lorraine rightfully pointed out, even though we were perceived to take detours and explorations, and it seems that the panelists were learning skills and weighing in what is the best direction that suit the interests and the trends of the industry overall, and particularly actually exploring, having dialogue and that probably contributed to part of the success. So there's one question from the audience. I would like anyone in the panel to just open up and comment. And the question is, what do you think about trainees skipping postdoc in academia, I presume, and directly train the industry and then coming back to academia as faculty? Maybe he was thinking about me, because that's exactly what I did. And please give the pros and cons about industry exposure, financial stability, learning management skills, etc. It seems that he's really weighing in a very attractive industry career to, but then eventually want to come back. Anyone want to comment?
I can start. I think there's a Chinese saying of 抛砖引玉, right? I throw a brick and hope to attract the jade. Maybe this is my brick that I throw out there, because I'm not familiar. I other than Jake, I don't know anybody who took this career path of taking the postdoc position in academia, then go back to the postdoc position in industry and go back to academia. With that said, I do think there are quite a few things that the industry can offer to help. That would definitely help your academia career. One of the things that we do pretty well, I think, at Eli Lilly is that in IDS, which is Lilly's information digital and solution department, is that we have a 2-year elite program for anybody who join the IDS organization. So for 2 years, we provide them with an array of courses that they can select from. A lot of soft skills, how to conduct crucial conversations, for example, how to kind of sharpen up your presentation skills, for example. Those soft skills, I believe that no matter where you land in your career path will be super duper helpful, because these are the things that, what I believe that from my own experience, that my PhD training really did not touch most of those components. But with the 2-year training in this elite program, most of our newcomers are able to benefit from developing, both from the career development perspective, but also personal development perspective, and both are beneficial.
Great. Anyone else in the panel like to add?
I just want to make a comment is that's possible to move from industry and then back to academia. But I think one thing that is common in academia is you have to be productive in publications. So if you are working in an industry, you need to keep on researching, and publications is key. And then if possible, try to pick on some sort of like project management or grant writing skill, because eventually if you want to be a faculty, you need to write proposal. From industry, like what Dr. Su and just mentioned. And also obviously you can see that Dr. Lauren has went through the whole path from academia, industry, and then back, and it's very successful. But I think the value that she show is you have a product, you have a unique skill set that you keep on publishing when you are still working in an industry. That's kind of my comment.
That's great.
I can add a little bit to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I was making the transition from being an industry scientist to try to get a faculty position, it was really difficult. I remember being totally mystified by the academic job market. I didn't know what a job talk was. I didn't know how the letters of reference worked. So UCSF, UC San Francisco had a whole series specifically for their postdoctoral researchers to help them conduct a faculty job search. So I found out about this and I went to all of those sessions and used all of their materials, and that's kind of what helped me the most. And then also I had my advisor my PhD advisor had moved to Switzerland by then, so he couldn't really help me that much. So I had a professor that I was really close to in graduate school who kind of mentored me and kind of walked me through the various conventions. There were just a lot of rules and conventions I did not know about. And then when I got the assistant faculty position, again, I had to learn an entirely new world, particularly the funding landscape. So I didn't know really what NIH did. I didn't even know that there were many institutes of NIH. So I had a lot of things to learn. And I was lucky that the first job I had in academia was really set up really well. So I came in with a sort of a cohort of assistant faculty in a academic unit that was very deliberate and strategic about training the new faculty how to write proposals and how to raise funding for research. So I think if you were to just jump into a traditional biology department where each professor is kind of on their own and has to figure things out by themselves and also has to cope with all of the academic politics, which is sometimes pretty brutal, it can be very challenging. So I kind of feel like for somebody moving from industry into academia, honestly, I think maybe the best sort of job would be kind of like the one that I had, where I wasn't completely alone. I had a lot of people helping me, and it was more of a team environment than, say, a traditional biology department. So I hope that's useful. I hope that advice will help you.
Wonderful. Well, I think that there's a related question. I think people really would like to know the difference between the research environment in the industry and the research environment in academia. So this person obviously doesn't have a particular preference in either one, but is curious. We already addressed some aspect of that. And I wonder, Dr. Su, if you can actually just outline the research environment in Lilly and give us a sense of what the scientists at Lilly would do and the pros and cons, and that we can weigh in against our environment.
Well, it is true that we don't do a lot of basic, fundamental research. For example, the, biological pathways, right? We look at a lot of publications, for example, to, fish for the best drug targets and biomarkers, for example. But I do think, I do strongly believe, and I do have the personal, publication record to show that as well, that we do good research in industry. One of our the recent example is that we are spending a lot of, resources on model-driven drug discovery. So the models could be anywhere from, protein ligand docking modeling and anything that you could think of would help with rational small molecule drug design, for example, all the way to large molecule, for example, predicting the injection site reaction, for example. That's also we could based on clinical trial data. So the whole spectrum of preclinical research to clinical research, I think that is the industry focus. We do have a little bit of kind of a timeline in mind. So if something is going to take perhaps 5 years or more to get there, to be able to enter something in the portfolio, for example, one of the things I think we have in mind is the quantum computing, right? It's still a little bit further away from being fully commercialized, and from both the programming perspective, but also the hardware perspective. So the strategy there is that we will be working with universities to put investment there, and perhaps to also from both the national and the local perspective, attract talents. So in that, I think that's a difference between industry and academic research.
So thank you. I can also comment. I think the question assumed that the industry and the academia are completely different. And also there's a lot of homogeneity in the industry or homogeneity in the academia. So from my personal experience, and that's not the case, right? So industry, you really have to see what kind of industry it is. Also, depending on the company size and the culture, it could be quite different. From what I know, the big top 20 pharmaceutical company have outstanding research experience. That they have industry postdoc position, they have lots of resources, mentorship, very good structure to guide fresh PhDs. And for small startup company that are struggling to get venture capital, the whole company culture is influenced by the founder who may or may not have PhDs. That could actually be very different. And I still remember one of the reasons I came back to academia was that I heavily disagree with the chief scientific officer with the company that I worked for in Salt Lake City. And he was originally a proponent of big data and giving us resources to build up the impressive data warehouse and analytics. And when the venture capital changes their opinions on profiting from databases for pharmaceutical company, he made a dramatic departure and said, well, we're not gonna do that, the big data thing anymore. We're just gonna take limited data pieces and then do drug discovery. So all of the previous investment, in my opinion, could be mined, carefully used. And then he thought that it's just better be ignored and dismantled. So my career could not be, in my personal opinion, I thought that my career is in the hands of this particular manager, and then that's not what I want. So I went back to academia, Indiana University, that doesn't have a lot of resource and a lot of overhead on teaching, but I felt that that is a place where I can start implementing my ideas. So do we have other comments from other panelists?
Yeah, I think there's a question from the audience about startup as a,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I will start with that one. I think nowadays university or academia, the institute, they kind of like recognize that spin off a startup company will bring in revenue, kind of like to the university as a royalty or patent, something like that. And a lot of university have this tech transfer office where they can help to help the faculty members to start up their own company as an option to work in sort of like industrial and academia. But obviously the faculty have to kind of like just balance out the conflict of interest. I know that some NIH fundings, they do support this kind of startup or transitions from a faculty to their startup company. The SBIR grant, those are kind of like some of the fundings that provide this kind of a support. So yeah, that could be an option. And a lot of faculty members nowadays have a startup.
Anyone else have comments about startup as an option? I have some comments, but I would like to hold it off until maybe Anne can comment a little bit that you were in a startup, but that's in a positive experience. But were you
Yeah,
thinking
it was,
about
yeah.
doing startup again? Or
Yeah, if I could replicate how much fun and excitement it was, I mean, I just remember it was just a group of really smart people all working together in a giant room in a very cold, drafty former warehouse. But it was really fun because we were working together and we had a common goal, and we were all sort of, I used to call it the neomorphic mind meld. It sounds so strange, but we would all be sort of working on different aspects of the same problem. And sometimes even on separate projects, we would kind of come to the same conclusions in terms of kind of technical aspects. So it was just really fun. And we were, the attitude was really great, I felt, because we were all working together toward a common goal. Everyone's success added to your own success, if that makes sense. There was zero jealousy, zero worry about who's getting credit for what. At least in the early days, that's what it was like. So it was just really fun. And I learned a lot faster than I had done at any other situation in my life. And so it was just a really exciting time. And I would love for everyone to have an experience like that. I mean, it was hard work, and I actually ended up getting a repetitive strain injury. That's because I was working too much, which I overcame. Physical therapy fixed me, but I would love it if everyone could have that kind of experience, and I would definitely do it again. Even now, you know, I would. It was just an incredible amount of fun, and even though, I mean, and the pay was okay. The pay was pretty good at the time. So I think even if, you know, if you're financially okay with the remuneration, then you should do it, I think. But I guess everyone at the time understood that this was that this wasn't going to last for more than a few years. You know, that the environment that we created was going to change and mature and become something completely different. I think most people understood that that particular stage was finite and would come to an end. And so I think that maybe that contributed to my personal enjoyment of it, because I knew it wasn't going to last. If that makes sense. But it was fun.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that. If you choose that's the direction you would like to know, but then you may also want to inquire before you join that particular institution to make sure that they support those kind of initiatives, because not every institution is the same. Some institutions may be more progressive and be more inclined to support startups, so that if, in the event that you should choose that route, then you're also looking at the sustainability and how you can garner institutional support to advance that. So that's the one comment I would like to add.
Yeah, I also like to comment that I think personally, I think that there are three types of startup that one person can be engaged with at different stages of the career. One is you are still a student halfway through your training, you stumble upon some opportunity, you felt it was so great, you felt like you're motivated, you're like Bill Gates or Mike the Zuckerberg, and so you want to quit your school and then embrace it. So that is the very, very risky one. And if you have all the human and capital support and the best idea at the right time in the right geographical location, your chance is still slim. And that's the most fun part, because you don't have to care about anything else, and you can spend 100 hours per week working on some ideas you truly believe in. Even if you fail, and it's not much of a big deal, you can come back to school. And then another type of startup is you have finished all your degrees, and you suppose you get your terminal degrees, somewhere along the line, maybe in the industry, working for a little while, or when you're working as a tenure track faculty or mid-career faculty, you do it. So I've also experienced that. And when I was in Indiana, I was involved in 3 startups. And I always kept myself busy and my options open. I thought I would anytime jump back to startup. But then I think my experience is I get myself extremely exhausted, even though I like it at the time. And then I think I did achieve a certain level of experience, a little bit of a success, but then never to the point that other people take pride in. For example, bringing the company to IPO, bringing the company to self-sustainable stage. And I felt that I always have to inject time and energy to it, to the point that my family, like personal life, also suffer. So I made a conscious decision not to continue anymore. So that's something you have to weigh in. And the third stage is once you have reached all the academic distinctions and the fame, and then you thought that you want to try a different career. There are actually 2 prime examples in our field that I know of. One is Shirley Liu, who is a Harvard Medical School professor and ISCB fellow who have won the ASCO Innovation Award. She recently declared that she would quit her Harvard professorship job and went to Shanghai to start her own AI and drug discovery company. So that's a shocker to all of us, but I can understand why she want to do it, right? And there's probably good timing and the good capital behind her. And another is that both Anne Lorraine and I know Pat Brown from Stanford. He was the inventor of microarray technology, could have won the Nobel Prize. And so he has been accomplished everything you can conceive of in the academically. But then he decided that he's going to use one of his biochemistry knowledge to get the hemoproteins introduced and in the yeast to mass produce them and make what is today what we call known as a Beyond Burger. So at the Burger King, you can probably get their burgers. And he created essentially a pre-IPO billion-dollar unicorn company as the CEO. So that is a different kind of a startup. I think perhaps Anne and everyone is still thinking about it. So I just want to bring the awareness of this, and that it's not just something that you have to do only once. You can do it, think about it multiple times. So I think we're reaching to the end of our session. Let's just everyone take one quick sentence and as a final message to our audience. Let's start with Dr. Tan.
Yeah, I think regardless which path you choose, I think every steps that you make during this journey is all connected. So I wish you all a good career and contribute to the society and make some big impact. Thank you.
Dr. Su?
To me, the most fun of having this career journey is really get to know myself better. So you really, to be a better person overall, regardless of where you end up with, right, academia industry. I wish you also the best of luck. And also, before we end, I want to give a lot of credit to Jake and to assemble this incredibly diverse panel. So really, so as a kind of a manager now in the industry setting, I very passionate about promoting diversity. So and I noticed this, we cannot be more diverse in this panel, in the panel of 5 people. So great job, Jake.
Thank you. Dr. Lorraine?
Yes. I guess I would, if I give somebody some advice, it would be read widely, keep your mind open, pay attention to the world around you, travel if you can, and also make an effort to learn many languages. It's learning to be able to speak to other people from different cultures and different places is probably the most important human skill that you have. So constantly be learning and growing your mind.
Thank you. Dr. Hicks?
Yeah, so I think my recommendation would be that just be prepared and be flexible in your career. Grab the opportunity as it presents itself. And also, you don't always have to go it alone. You can always find other collaborators that you can work with or other mentors that can guide you through your career pathway. For example, after this panel here, I'm gonna go look at Jake's new startup if he's starting a new one. And then I may jump on that one. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a great panel. I'm very impressed. My take-home message is find a great mentor, like anyone. If you can stump into anyone in the panel, and if they can take you as a mentee, you'll be very fortunate. All right, with that, and let's thank all the panelists again, and thank you for your participation. And we'll move on to the next session.